Welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Stephanie. Stephanie says, I'm frozen in fear. I can only see the worst case scenario in every situation, and I see how this is making my life unbearable. My days and nights are filled with worry, panic, anxiety, and fear. I'm making myself sick. I don't trust myself or my decisions because I've made so many mistakes, and I can't forgive myself. Any advice or words would be appreciated. So, Stephanie, a couple of things. One, I want you to go, just as you're listening right now, and anyone else who needs this as you're listening, to feel where you feel this physically. Go right now. I'll do it too. We can all do it together. Just go into the sensation. Whatever is just here immediately. It doesn't have to, we don't have to mentally look for where's the anxiety, where's the panic, anything like that. Just let attention be in what's actually real in here, not in thought right now, but just in the felt sense, and just feel this. So if you feel something that has a lot of energy, and maybe the mind is calling it anxiety or fear or whatever it might be calling it, some sort of discomfort, that's all fine. Don't worry about the label right now. Let that just point you to what you want to feel, and feel it. This is nonverbal. This is not conceptual. It has nothing to do with words or labels or descriptions. It's so simple, but it's so hard for us as thinkers to do. It's just actually being in the sensation, being in the energy of what's here. So let's just say, for example, you feel a lot of energy in your stomach. You feel like just a lot going on there right now. Just hang out in that. Feel it. Notice what it's doing. You don't have to narrate it, but just let awareness be there. Look toward it. Look toward it and give it a little attention, because typically what's happening is where everything in thought is trying so hard to be away from it, to push it away, to hold ourselves apart, to try to fix it, to try to change it, to think over it, and we're doing the complete opposite of that. We just want to go right into it and just let it be. And look at it and give it some attention and just feel it and just hang out there. And see how that goes. And don't listen to your mind about it. Because again, your mind might be saying, no, this is uncomfortable. I can't do this, whatever. It's actually not uncomfortable. And me saying that is not going to help you whatsoever. You have to feel it and just hang out in it and look toward it and be with it as it. And then you'll see it's actually not uncomfortable. It just is whatever it is. Uncomfortable is a label. Uncomfortable is an overlay. It's the mind trying to interpret it and have a conversation about it. But as much as you can, whenever you can, I want you to do this. Go into the body, find what feels like this fear or panic, whatever, and just check it out and melt into it and look toward it and welcome it. And you will be surprised. And if you do this as often as you can, for as long as you can, it's not a big active thing. It's just letting attention be there, and it's just an openness, just opening to it rather than no, we're saying yes. It's just saying yes instead of saying no. That's all it is. Hang out there as much as you can, as frequently as you can, and you're gonna really start to kind of feel this differently. So that's a piece of this. That's a big piece of this. Maybe the first and the biggest piece of this. The other piece is that at some point in some way, and I'm speaking to everybody, we all have to, in a way, like begin to see that, I'll say it in a way that everybody says it, and I've said it 1,000 times, the thought isn't true. But it's not about just seeing that thought isn't true with more thought. It's like there has to be a noticing, a greater and greater noticing of like the guilt and the regret and the I can't trust myself and I can't forgive myself and the stories and the memories. All of that, Stephanie, 100% of that is in time. It's a story in time about you. It's not real. It's not real the way that this cup is real right now. I feel sensation. I see color and shape. I can't smell it, but if it had something smelling in it, I could. Like, this is real. I can't forgive myself. I can't trust myself. I can't get over this. That is not real. It is a very real feeling experience, but find it, touch it, locate it. You can't, and really try, really try. You can't. It's because it's not real. These are stories in imagination. So more and more, we all can keep seeing that stories and imagination are just reflections. They reflect off each other. All they are is just repeating, reflecting stories. That's why they're so habitual. It's why they're so old. It's the same story that shows up in all kinds of different contexts with slightly different details, but it's the same basic thing. It's always about you. And then something comes in and distracts you and poof, it's gone. What's up with that? But wait a minute. A second ago, we were like so gripped by it, so convinced that it was true. And there's all this attention and it's compelling and we listen to it. That is, no matter what the story's telling or how it's showing up for any of us, that is the thing that we have to keep waking up to, the fact that that's just what thought does. And it is not necessary. And it is not the truth, and we don't have to keep putting all our attention there. And, everything I do is kind of pointing in different ways to help us stop putting attention there and to see that. There's no one thing that you can hear or whatever or do that's going to just suddenly shut that off, or it'll never really shut off maybe, but that's going to suddenly show you definitively that it's not the truth and that you don't have to place attention there. But you have to kind of start there. And like, what if that's true? What if I don't need any of that? And a huge help in that regard is what we did first, which is coming into what is real. Go into the body, welcome those sensations. Part of the reason why thought keeps repeating the past to you, it keeps repeating the past and telling you how wrong you are and all of that kind of stuff, is to distract from the actual energy that's here, right now. Because thought doesn't know anything about it, but it basically kind of feels like, oh, none of this is safe. Let's just keep talking up here. Let's just keep all this energy up there. That is what has you feeling like your life is unbearable. Because there's a beautiful, huge, vivid reality right here, aliveness right here. But all of our attention goes up into an imaginary conversation that says, no, don't look there, don't go there. That is unbearable. It's horrible. And it's great that you're at a point where it feels unbearable, because you're kind of forced, in a sense, in a good way, to see another way. You will never feel like you can forgive yourself. You will never feel like, it's not about going up there and fixing that. That won't happen. It's not about me telling you anything that, oh, you can trust yourself and here's how you forgive yourself. Never. You're never going to hear that from me, because it's just pointless. All of this thinking is not true. It is not the truth. It is reflections, and it repeats itself, and it's just like any reflect. It's like light bouncing off, a surface, and it just bounces all over the place. Why would we follow all that bouncing and try to make sense of it? And you just have to see all of that for what it is, all of it. And that gets so much easier as we're actually in reality. And it becomes abundantly clear that this is alive and real, whatever this is, and that all of those reflections that just tell you how horrible you are aren't. That's all this is about. I mean, that's where the freedom is. There's not going to be any freedom in thought being different. There's only going to be freedom, and there will be freedom in seeing that for what it is. So however that looks for you, I mean, there's so many different ways into this, and different things we explore. But ultimately, that's it. It's like we just need to come to reality. There's no problem in reality. You aren't not good enough in reality. There's nothing dangerous or fearful in reality. All of that lives in thought. All of that lives in imagination that just bounces and reflects. And we just, it's really about attention, basically, kind of where attention is used to going and what starts to look, what used to look real and compelling, which is all the imaginary thought stories, and how that can change, what can start to really feel and be known to be real and compelling and peaceful and safe and free, which is actual reality, what's here, right now in direct experience. So play with that and start by, again, being in the body, in those sensations, and just hanging out in them and giving them attention and looking toward them. That alone is going to start to turn things around so much, because that's not happening right now, and it's not your fault. It's not that you're purposely looking away, but just based on what you're sharing, thought is just trying to keep you away, and we just want to go right into it. And I really would recommend you getting some kind of support. It breaks my heart when somebody says something like, how do you say it? It's making my life unbearable. My days and nights are filled with this. Like, I mean, I've been there. Most of us have been there in some way, but it just doesn't have to be like that. So, I am actually starting, in a week or two, a small group, to help people with anxiety specifically. It'll just be 5 or 6 people, over like a couple months. That would be a great thing. I'll put the link here. It might be full by the time you see this or anyone sees this, but you can fill out the application there. And I think that's something I might be doing more ongoing, is having these really small groups of 5 or so people to really, over a good chunk of time, really look at all of this, feel this stuff, see the thought isn't true. So that's an option, or anything. It doesn't have to be that. Anything that appeals to you, but this isn't stuff we really kind of just see on our own a lot of the time, I mean, if you could, you would have by now. And it doesn't mean you can't, but I would definitely just enlist some support in any way that makes sense to you, because we're living in an illusion. We're living in a lie when we feel this way. And that sucks. We don't want that. And it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. So I'll put the link here for the small group if anyone's listening, wherever this description goes. But Stephanie, just reach out with whatever you need, and I hope this is helpful for you and for others. Send your questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com, and I'll see you guys here next week.